Welcome back to Free Play Arcade, the show where I find interesting games that you can play for free. At this point, you may recognize that there are some constant themes in the kinds of games I talk about on Free Play Arcade. I enjoy simple graphics, I adore puzzles, and I freaking love game jam games. When you combine all three of those things together, you get this tasty gem of a title. This is Cross the Gap by Joshua McLean. This is a game made for the GB30 Game Jam, which was hosted earlier this year, 2019. And oh lordy, did I have fun playing this game. It's dangerous to go alone was the theme of the GB30 Game Jam. And to that end, Joshua McLean made a puzzle game where the player controls two characters that both need to make it to the end of the stage in order to move forward. Each stage presents you with a beginning platform, a locked gate, keys to collect, and wooden platforms that dissolve after walking over them. The puzzles start pretty simple. Plan your steps, collect the keys, don't fall. If either character falls into the abyss, the stage restarts. Later in the game, some more complicated mechanics involving switches and moving platforms are introduced. This is a fun wrinkle that forced me to stop and think at the beginning of several levels to plan out my movement. Cross the Gap falls squarely into the limitations of a game that could have been released for the original Game Boy. There are 4 shades of green in the palette, tile-based movement locked into the 4 cardinal directions, and only 2 buttons that are used to either switch between characters or, later in the game, interact with switches. If I had a game like this on my Game Boy when I was a kid, you could be sure that I would have played the crap out of it. If I have any complaints about Cross the Gap, it would be that there are no restrictions on time to complete the levels. There are no real gotcha-style traps such as spikes or false platforms, and there are no special collectibles to challenge the player into maybe making a more dangerous route through the stage, similar to the collectible strawberries in Celeste. I know that Cross the Gap was made for a game jam, thus was made under tight time constraints. Therefore, it is forgivable that the puzzles within the game are not the toughest of brain teasers. Also, that's why there are only 13 levels, as opposed to 100 or more, which I would have happily spent hours playing. Be that as it may, if you have a few minutes kicking around and want to scratch that puzzle-solving itch, I would highly recommend Cross the Gap. You can find it on itch.io.